Welcome everybody, Market Sniper checking in with you. Nice, wet Panamanian it's sort of summer, I think. I'm not quite sure. Summer, winter, it's warm, it's wet, it's humid, it's great. Glad to be with you. Goldilocks day. We're going to be talking about gold today. In fact, we've got to refer to the charts. We'll try to remember to show you the charts as well while we do that. And we're going to be talking about the Cayman Islands. The Cayman Islands, that huge nation, that burgeoning metropolis, that is one of the most fiercest and industrious investor in treasury bills. Yes, that's right. All the Connery, a little bit of expose there for the shortage of treasuries brigade. There's a shortage of treasuries brigade. Yep, there's a lot of shortage of treasuries brigade people out there. Indeed. There's 76 of you. There are 13 likes. We really appreciate the 13 likes. Fool the algorithm, go and make a monkey out of them, go undermine them by pretending to like us. Yes, that's all good. Share it with your friends. So let's have a look. Let's have a look at how that orchestrated collapse on gold turned out for those swathe of Bitcoin maximalists. They were all selling their gold last week, Friday. Oh my goodness, throughout the weekend, Bitcoin maxis are selling all their gold. I didn't know they had all that much gold in the first place. And on top of that, they're calling a top. They're calling a top on gold. They're calling a top on gold and asserting that they know that not only is it a top on gold, but that's the point that Bitcoin, their NSA token, is now about to start running like a beast, they say, running like a beast. Remember, we are here to trade the long term. By the way, that's so bullish. Before I go on my off on one, that is so bullish that the algorithm on X, you know, the same one that's all the pro-Israel stuff is popping up all over the place. You know, those football fans that pop over to Britain and who attacked local Dutch indigenous people, that was then faced a bit of a beating. How anti-Semitic it was that they got attacked. Well, that same Zionist vibe, you also had a surge in Bitcoin maximalists calling top on gold. Why do people that so aspire to be digital gold suddenly have to call the death on real gold? Because they are sick and tired of the real metal going up. They have a feeling it's eating its dinner. Remember, they're pretending to be the real thing. They hate you. They admire you so much, they hate you. They wish to be you, and they wish you to die so that they can assume your identity. That is Bitcoiners wanting to be gold. That is how it is. And let's have a look after a dip. And that dip, by the way, was not much more than 4%. Let's have a look at how far gold is down. Let's have a look from its all-time high, by the way. Let's have a look how far gold is down from its all-time high. We used the TG Pink for the Marxists out of complete respect for the absolutely Bolshevik murdering Marxists that are uploading your system and whose Ponzi scheme is in the state of unraveling right here and now in front of you. Ergo, the new Fed release on the Cayman Islands. We'll be coming to that in a little bit, in a moment. Give us some time. So you are a sweltering, eye-watering, really doomer collapse from your all-time high. That's right, 0.74%. Here on a Monday morning, of course, us being HVF traders, a number of communities on the other side of the members on the other side were already highlighting the first upside HVF in a new trend setting up. And those that could have got on early, I did on Friday on a different platform. This one I got late. I got in late up here, but oh, dang, it went and made some money anyway. Well, that's what you get when you get a first setup in a new trend after the pullback. By the way, pullback you had, you get a first new setup in an upside trend. And what does it do? It overperforms after a pullback. You see that? You see that? You see that? You see the little pullback? That's where the stop is. Boom, boom, bosh, higher again. We are going to maximize the amount of gold ounces you get, silver ounces, you get real money, physical money, not digital vaporware with your little imaginary Japanese friend. Yes, that showed up to save you and then disappeared. That's right. None of those fairy tales for adults. Not round here. We don't do PSYOP nonsense. No, 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 sir. We are going to help you build physically held in your hand real balance sheet, real gold and silver ounces by trading one of the largest macro cyclical mega trends that has ever in economic history transpired, for which there is so much fraud and deception. Ergo, the Cayman Islands actually having 4 times more treasuries than you were told, than the Fed knew about. Oh, yes. And by the way, they didn't have the money to buy them. So they've been lent money to buy them on a basis trade that they are rolling futures every single day. That's right. No Ponzi-onomics round here, you do understand. A proxy for America to maintain an absolute parabola of debt issuance that George Gammon will tell you there's a shortage of treasuries. And Brent Johnson will tell you the dollar is well demanded. The dollar and debt instruments is well demanded by foreign investors. Okay, you mean foreign as in that tiny little speck island. Let's show you the tiny little speck island. Sometimes a bit of geography helps people. Not everybody do geography. Let's have a little look. You see that there? You see that there? Now, forgive me, you might need a different pair of spectacles on this one. Pop these to the side. Do any of you have binoculars? It goes something like that. If you have a little look, like that, yep. No, there's a red circle somewhere there. It's a bit like the Bermuda Triangle. You can actually get lost looking for that. That little speck somewhere in between Cuba, Mexico, and Jamaica, friends, is a world-class mega whale in US treasuries. Just think about that, for example. 7 billion. They've got 7 billion GDP. They've got a smidge over 7 billion as per 2023 numbers. So let's be factual disclosure. It might be a little bit higher because they're using the dollar to denominate it. And we all know what's been happening with that. To the downside. Everything, even monkey money and monkey economies go up in a collapsing dollar. About 10 or 11 to 12% down against all the other shit currencies. Never mind that. 42% down against the ruble, 15% down against the Hungarian forint, the Czech krona. Those giants, those stalwart giants of ex-communist nations. That's the dollar. Anyway, on their 7 billion, they happen to have, wait for it, 1.8 trillion in treasuries. Now, if I'm to put that into trillion, the T, the T number, that's right. Now, you guys don't always have. It's hard to picture this. So let me just break it down for you. GDP, what you supposedly do in economic activity in a year. So if it were a human, a person, you would have 250,000 income, say, a year. Now, that's like an American on 250 grand a year, which is a decent salary. You'll probably just about make your bills and afford your bread and milk without going too deep into debt, although most will get into debt anyway, because that's what you do. But anyway, 250,000 per annum and having a 68 million bond portfolio. How many of you have a mate with 250 grand gross income a year who has a 68 million bond portfolio? Ergo, 257 times his gross income in a bond portfolio. Does that sound proportionate? Do you have a lot of mates on $250,000 a year that have 68 million bond portfolio? Well, that's the Cayman Islands for you, friends. That right there, that wee little speck that totally isn't a proxy for the US Ponzi-onomics has, you wait for it, 1.8 trillion. And they didn't have the money for it. They borrowed it. They're actually rolling futures. They're doing something called the basis trade. Let's explain the basis trade as best can be done. There's a lot of Ponzi in all of this, but here's what they're doing. The leverage suggests that they're actually at about 100 to 1. You know about this. You know about derivatives. You know about the precious metals. We're getting a bit of price discovery at the moment. It seems to be causing some stress on gold and silver, 50 to 100 times. The basis trade explained. First, you buy bonds with instant financing. I love that there's this instant financing. I wish I had access to that. You know what I'd do? I would absolutely not buy bonds. I'd get borrowing to sell a record amount of short bonds, take the money that I get for selling bonds I don't have, get the financing to sell them first, and then take all that money. I'd take 100 billion short position on bonds, and I'd go start whaling into gold and silver like no tomorrow. You don't have access to do that. I've got 10 grand. You can lever me up 100 to 1, and then 100 to 1 on top of that, and 101 to that, so that I can be short a few 100 billion in bonds and long a few 100 billion in gold. Why can't I get access to that? Because you are not in that leverage classes. You are not in the leverage classes that you can. The hedge fund buys a treasury bond for 100K as the cash part of the trade, but they don't pay the full price up front. No, their prime broker, fancy the prime brokers. You know who those are, the big old names that help create demand for treasuries. That's right, all the skullduggery of Goldman Sachs, Merrill Lynch, Bank of America. You know the names, you do know the primary dealers. Oh yes, they do. Happy to facilitate a hedge fund not too far away from America on a tiny little speck of an island to become the biggest whale investors in the worst assets in the world. That's right. Currency lost 55% in the last 5 years since our bond technical top call in September of 2020 on a currency that's lost 10-15%, depending who you're measuring it against, in a single year this year. So the measurement that it's based in is devaluing. Its value is devaluing even in the devaluing measurement. You get my meaning. This is toxic. It's a new epoch. It's the gold precious metals epoch that started for real with the debt-based collapse. Once the debt market could no longer go up, it was broken, and fiat, faith, and trust has been foregone. We are seeing a lack of trust in the Ponzi-onomics, and it is unwinding as we speak. And the other half of the world is calling the bluff. It's calling the bluff of 40 years of malfeasance, deception, absolute garbage that has been proliferated. That's what's happening. Here's how it works. Here you go. So you don't pay the full price up front. Isn't that nice? I always want to be allowed to buy things and never have to pay. The prime broker, a big bank partner, arranges immediate financing. This is not my work, by the way. I am quoting a couple of people here. I wish I had their names closer. I think it's at Infra RAA. He's explaining it. I'm just reading their work. The fund puts up a small amount of their own money, 1%. That's where the 100x comes in, by the way, friends, or 1K as collateral. So for every 100K you buy, you put up 1K. Isn't that nice? Isn't that nice? Wouldn't you like to go buying things on 1K? I would have bought a few billion in gold, just putting down 1%. And therefore, the broker facilitates borrowing the rest, 99K. Now, you've got to remember, these numbers get bigger and bigger. Step 2, borrow via repo. At the same time, they enter a repo, the temporary sell the bond, positioning it as collateral to a lender like a bank or a money market fund for cash. So they get 98K for that asset. It's a temporary sell. It's a temporary sell. It's all a scam, basically, to get leverage on leverage in a simple fact. After a 2% buffer is allowed for market movement so that they don't get the full amount. They've got a 98% loan on their asset. They agree to buy it back the next day for 99. So who's doing all this witchcraft finance? If you ever wanted to see an explanation of witchcraft finance, go have a look at my lizard in my bedroom. He's more honest and got more integrity and a better complexion than the bankers that are pulling this monkey business. That's right. I can tell you this is King Lizard finance of great note. Indeed, indeed, indeed. So anyway, for example, at 5% SOFR, that's about $13 per day on 98K. So they have a carry cost now. They roll this over daily to keep costs low. So they're sitting there continually re-putting on the position. They've got every day they come in. They've got almost like a trader whose job is just to bot roll the whole thing. That's right. So step 3, use the borrowed cash. That's now the 98% that you got back with a 2% buffer on the thing you failed to pay fully for and only put 1% up for. So stay with me here, guys. Don't get stupid now. You want to learn how to become a Ponzi king. You need to actually understand how leverage works. Leverage layered upon leverage. Then you use that borrowed cash and cover the gap. The 99K from the repo funds, most of the bond purchase, repays the prime broker's advance. So lovely people advancing money, these primary dealers, that have no idea what's going on. The Morgan Stanleys, the JP Morgans, the Goldman Sachs. Oh yes, they are facilitating this Ponzi-onomics knowingly with their hedge funds mates, doing a leverage trade, which they think everybody will win until suddenly they don't. That's right, until suddenly they don't. Use the borrowed cash, cover the gap. Step 4, repeat and lever up. They repeat the loop, buy more bonds with financed cash, repo them, and short a matching futures contract. So they are shorting the future and actually buying the underlying. Now, the future trades at a certain price, and typically it tends to converge in the end. So they get the margin. But if you were to have a crisis, rather than converging, the later delivery of a future price could suddenly go in the opposite direction, and the existing one you held could go down. And that, my point, my friends, is the point at which the hedge funds fail. That's right. This is what they've been doing, and this is how they are leveraging. It's a very basic explanation of something. And you want to know the anti-Ponzi-onomics trade? You're looking at it right here. At its very worst on Friday, and Friday is always Mr. Slammy Day for precious metals. We know that by experience. At its absolute low, you lost 4.42. At its absolute low, you lost 4.42. And on the first trading day after Mr. Slammy Day, you're back, friends, at 0.67% from the all-time high that you set on the Thursday before Mr. Slammy Day. So I hope you survived that tragedy, my gold investors. I hope you're looking forward to the new blue sky highs that you'll be putting on shortly. And you're remembering that yours truly, the one who told you, this is the biggest macro event until Cayman Island Ponzi is actually blown up and all those hedge funds are blown up and all the Goldman Sachs hedge fund runners, ex-Goldman that are living in Cayman are now living in Israel with their ill-gotten gains and can't be extradited for the financial crimes that they will have visited on the American people with their Ponzi-onomics and the co-option of the banking primary dealers that will say, we knew nothing. We had no idea. We were just lending them a whole lot of money and taking the collateral and the asset back and lending them a whole bunch more. We didn't know. We had no idea. We had no idea. We're just honest brokers, we are. That's right. Until you've heard about every one of those hedge funds bust, this isn't anywhere near the top for gold. It isn't anywhere near. And in fact, we sit here at gold-silver ratios in the 80s, friends. Let me just say to you, that is telling you, you have barely just begun. You have barely just begun. We can let you go. There you go. We have barely just begun in terms of this. The gold-silver ratio is back up at 83. Let's put a daily chart on it. After the Mr. Slammy. This is something I kind of try to warn people. They all got the wrong message. I said, there is a possibility if you have crisis events for a spike in the gold-silver ratio. It wasn't, hey, I'm predicting as the base case and my highest probability that it's happening. But nonetheless, people won't let you forget. You try to warn them that this can happen. You are getting a reversal up in the gold-silver ratio after that Mr. Slammy event. Although, as I say, this is the key box. How many times have we shown this key box and said that's the key box? You start to feel that maybe it's changed when you run that low. We've mentioned this number and we know it to be 72. Look at the low, the low, the low, the low. That's 75. Whoops, wrong candle, 72.675. We know that. And what's happened? You're on the bottom end of the range. Gold gets sold off, silver gets sold off more so, platinum even more so. The more industrial versions, they get hit harder. That's why gold is one of your best trades. That's why we are HVF method trading it and accumulating trading accounts and converting that, taxing it down into blue pot of investment, the foundation. The foundation should always be broader than the moderate leverage and the occasional hot pot moment when the markets give you a gift from the heavens, as they will continue to do. You just had yourself a gift with the big sell-off. How many of you ordered? I ordered and purchased more rounds over the course of the weekend. Transfers were made over the course of the weekend. unrelenting. These opportunities to the downside are gifts. They are gifts that won't last very long, and we are already reversing up on the gold-silver ratio back in here. When we release that, we are moving towards the point where you will get consistent outperformance by silver and platinum to gold, and we are not even finishing that phase yet. When we get to 30, we'll be midstream maturity of this run, and when we have the spike below single digits, that means silver is less than or greater than 1/10 of gold's price. That means 9.99 or lower. That's the point I will cash in my silver for more gold and other assets. Till then, no, sir. You are still in the burgeoning setup phase of this. When miners truly are absolutely face-meltingly ripping, and they are being recognized for the cash-generating cows with a recession on their costs, ergo the oil price, only channel to have told you, I'm not going to keep hammering that one home. You either saw it, you either accept it, or everyone else. Everyone else said commodities all up. We said no, reserve asset, monetary commodity all up. Start with gold. He is the king. He is the king of anti-fiat before Bitcoin, who's the king of crypto, who starts first. But on that point, and we'll be doing updates on crypto, the alt run, it's going to come and Bitcoin will underperform that. Right now, we're in the overperformance period of gold, with silver staying in range, but marching out. The overperformance of silver will come, and it starts with a break of 72, and you have rejected here at 76. But don't get me wrong, once silver starts moving, that will stop going up. We'll probably settle somewhere in here, and eventually we'll break to the downside. Let's have a look at silver. So you are surviving with your 0.67 pullback. Oh, by the way, the Bitcoin maximalists, the Algo stream, on X, what an absolute captured mainstream media propaganda platform X has become for the Zio pigs and the Bitcoin maximalists. They are one and the same. NSA, Zio, Mossad. It's all one and the same, my friends. Oh boy, oh boy. Let's have a look at XAU Bitcoin. What's happening on XAU Bitcoin? Let's have a look at the monthly. This is with gold starting now. And this looks very much like bottoming to me. This is what we call quarter pipe, Skater Boy's quarter pipe, turning soon into a half pipe. And you are getting lower volatility and you are turning to the upside. Or seen the other way around. Let's just do that. Let's go Bitcoin is on top and we divide it by XAU USD. Let's see what we see. Bitcoin, let's give it Bitstamp and show you the other way around. Head and shoulder reversal. Let's have a look at our previous TA. We've shared this chart long ago, saying this blue line, this red line, we say it breaks the red line. What did it do? It broke the red line, had a return move, now spilling over. A little bit of a head and shoulder structure. Let's clean our face there. A little bit of a head and shoulder type structure. That's what it's doing. That is not Bitcoin winning against gold. That is, it got so far by market cap and now it's struggling. You see, gold shimmied on. Everybody wants to look at Bitcoin's price versus gold. Gold is shimmied on to the doorstep of 30 trillion market cap. Bitcoin is at 2.2 and struggling to hold that at the moment. Now, we do think it goes to 150,000. Alts will outperform it. Gold is likely to outperform it. And as a result, Bitcoin is the least interesting of the anti-fiats to us. Select status alts will outperform at some point, both gold and Bitcoin, but right now you're in the best place as Goldilocks. So this looks terrible for me. This looks like a reversal. It looks soft. You made a new low here compared to that. You failed to make a new high. Bitcoin not winning. What's Bitcoin in dollars? That useless currency that is going largely down. Well, it's not doing that brilliantly. We've spoken before about the 108. It served as support a number of times, and it seems to have served as support, and you're drifting your way back up. But let's just remember, what is this last high of Bitcoin? Gold is 0.67% down from its all-time recent high. How is Bitcoin doing? on its all-time recent high? Well, it is 12.5%, friends, 12.37% down from its all-time high. And in that collapse low that you experienced, it actually was 18% down. So let's just recap. Gold fell 4.15 and is now 0.67% from its high. Bitcoin fell 18% and is still over 12% from its all-time high. This after the biggest propaganda campaign of influencer, paid shilled influencer, no doubt like the $7,000 Israeli post, all funded and paid for by Americans that transfer billions to Israel, who uses it to promote Israel on platforms that Americans typically use. You are paying to be propagandized by an invading, parasitic, controlled nation, and they do two things. They want you in Bitcoin and they're telling you pro-Israel. That's right. That's where you are. That's where you are. And it's super bullish that they're spending such money on lies, the establishment of lies, and trying to get you in certain ways. The Bitcoin MAXI influencer posts, which are actively attacking gold, are propaganda echo chambers to try shake you out of your conviction. You should see it as bullish, and every time you see a post, you take a schnapps as a drink, and you go, good, and you call your gold broker and you buy some more. If you want to support the Market Sniper channel and pay what he pays, you go to Pure Gold link below, you go to ITM Trading link below, you go to Bullionvault, which is, especially if you're considering moving, which you all should be doing, getting out of the West. They're coming to destroy it. They're already well on the way to achieving that. You have in liquid internet gold, which you can't be hypothecated, but you can reserve a bar if you want. Until you're at the other side, you can sell. You can have all the upside, sell and get physical delivered. Don't try move with substantial amounts of metals. You need metals in multiple jurisdictions. Our three key points. We aim to build you additional wealth during reset times, which, whilst turbulent and terrible for most, is going to present huge opportunities, which we have already been maximizing incredibly well to the upside. Build that wealth, stack it in gold and silver ounces, utilizing HVF method, our technical analysis method, along with my takes and updates in the community. You protect that wealth by having it far flung and in many jurisdictions, not the West. And you secure your freedoms, point number 3, to a great lifestyle, great wealth, so that you are living in multiple homes around the world. You are efficient from a point of view of the scavenge mode extractors that will be coming for you, the Pharisees of extraction. The robber barons of the Marco Polo tract have gone technologically savvy, and they are coming for your wealth. How well prepared are you? We deal with all those 3 points. Book a call on the link below in your YouTube channel right here. Very first, book a call. Not sure if you want to book a call? Grab the free mini series. Watch a little bit more about what it is we do. Get a free video each day for 6 or 7 days and decide if you want to have a chat. We don't sell. People choose to buy. We are not salesmen at all. It's community members that you will be speaking to that have been selected over the years, who have advanced their case immensely since joining themselves and are now happy to involve and onboard new prospective members. Let's have a look at your comments. So we'll put the share screen and see what's your take. Cayman Islands, friends, an avid investor in US treasuries, or part of the Ponzi-economic slave system that we've been talking about, a la the UK, Japan, and, Belgium, Luxembourg, the giant Luxembourg state, massive believers in toxic performing assets. Wow, isn't that interesting? There's a couple of them out there. What's China and Russia doing, I wonder? What's India doing, I wonder? Are they buying treasuries? No. Wessex isn't noticing, says Barty Lambs. Someone doesn't like Rafi too much. What's your opinion on real estate? Greetings from Long Island, New York, Luxembourg. Smiley face. Francis, Eric, and Michael Oliver know what's up. I hope we do. We have placed our bets and they seem to be performing. That's all I can say. Very well. We're in a good mood every day. It's lovely to be in a good mood every day. Happy mornings to you, Monsieur Sniper. Have some more shekels. Have some more shekels, they say, on an ongoing basis. Now, I'm not a big fan of the shekel, but in gold ounces, they sure end up giving birth to lots of new shekels. Who forces you to buy stable coins? Buy whatever you want, says somebody. We have been short oil. Let's talk about the oil. Some of you are wanting to refer to that. Let's talk about the oil. By the way, if you subscribe for our mini series, those free videos, we will never sell your name. You will never get spam because of us. You will also get our free newsletter delivered to your box. No more than 2 a month at the most, sometimes just the 1 a month, with our takes and charts, giving you some ideas on how we're positioning. So let's have a look at oil. Some are asking about oil, so let's keep it technical. What's going on in the wonderful world of oil? So US oil, that is WTI. And as we've said, it is a worse picture than they've let you on. The sprightly price of $56.70, previously 87 after a run to 129. And we gave this inverted HVF some time ago, and it was a slow progressing one, and it had a bit of chop, and it did just enough for people to stop watching it and to forget our prediction. But more importantly, we also provided for you the opportunity to short oil, long gold, and that gives us a number of targets which still remain to be made. $52 was the target we gave. You had traded up top here as high as 95. Your RH3 was at the 84.80 level. This all seems to have set up as a big macro head and shoulder, by the way, with a very big right shoulder. Now, you've got to remember, this has been in an environment of absolutely dollar devastation, even against terrible currencies. So you're talking about something that's lost value, $85 a barrel, right down to 56 at the moment, with a target of 52 over here for the inverted HVF. And at the same time, gold during that period has absolutely doubled. It's more than doubled, actually, through this period. The low that you had from here, I'm not too sure where we should take it from. You know, if I took it 25th of September, let's just show you how gold has performed from the 25th of September relative to oil. That's silver, not bad either. Of course, let's just jump straight to gold and show you that. And it'll line up. So there you go. Over here, you had 95 in oil, and you had 25th of September, 1,830 gold, $95 oil, and you can see 1,800. I mean, it's unbelievable. The low here was 1,846 at the time that it was $95 oil. You've now gone nearly half. You've lost 40% going on almost 45% on oil. And you've gone from 1,800 to 4,345. You've had more than a 2x. You've got about 110, 115% up on the one side and a down of a 40% plus on the other. This is an epic call, and we did it technically by 360-degree analysis, and there hasn't been a single soul who called that a year ago. And by the way, we were the same guys who called it 6 years ago. In 2019, because we keep watching the same thing. If nobody else is watching, nobody else gets to make the call. That's the fact. Sad to say. They didn't learn from CV19. We still were the only people say a year ago, go long gold, short oil again. It was almost like, oh, he just wants a rinse repeat. That's all he can do. He's a papagay. He's a parrot. He just repeats the same thing. He got lucky once. He's repeating it again. No, it's happened again. That's what's happened. That's what happened. That's what oil is doing. And by the way, the more gold is going up, we've had a little accelerate period here. Actually, the more oil has gone down. So in an accelerating debasement of the dollar, which is also bad for the American economy, of course, you are getting a loss of value in oil. You're getting a loss of value in oil. And what do you think is going to continue here? Further and faster up after that major pullback of 4% compared to Bitcoin's 18%, which was nothing really. It was nothing. The MAXIs, it was nothing. We got Benjamin Cohen, Bitcoin dominance. Bitcoin dominance, he says. It will dominate. It will dominate. The Cohen man is dominating. He's telling you how it is. Bitcoin is dominating. Let's have a look at Bitcoin dominance. This is, of course, against other cryptos, by the way. That's the Bitcoin dominance. He doesn't acknowledge that it might have turned. That was his super win, by the way, that popped to 63.15, couldn't hold any of it, and all the way back down. On the largest liquidation event, 19 billion. The previous FTX ones were like ones and twos and threes of billions. This was 19 billion. That's what's happened to Bitcoin dominance. I believe you will find that's turned. And relative to gold, well, we've already covered that one. Benj, it's losing to gold. It's losing to gold. It's losing to gold. It is all losing to gold. But they were out in big force to tell us. They were out in big force to tell us that we're wrong. Okay, what say you guys? Let's have a little look. I'm hoping we're sharing screen. We were. This time we had it right. We're getting almost good at this. One of these days, we'll be semi-professional. So what say you guys? Always love the honesty and help. Low oil. So actually on that oil part, and I'm not going to put the chart back up again, but we have a 32 possible head and shoulder target. The inverted HVF is the stronger setup. I'm going to drop the light a little bit because I'm getting overexposed there. We can't have snowman face. A little bit lower, that's better. Won't freak out the camera so much. I wanted to show you the jungle. Welcome to the jungle. I'm wearing my camos for the jungle. Please approve of my fashion sense. I'm very sensitive. I'm very sensitive on these things. Be nice. Be nice. Hit the like, he's worth it, he says. Thank you to the Native American. Even at the gas station, prices will be lower. Give it 2 weeks. They don't change prices every day. Francis, I want to become your apprentice once the silver bull takes off and my time is freed up. Yes, the senseless apprentice. Do that. It was a good Nirvana song. Don't be sensitive. I'll try not to be. I always say silver, we need to buy it all. No surveillance states. Yeah, well, physically held things is a pain in the ass for them, actually. They really don't like you having physical wealth that they can't see. They're going to want cameras in your house. So don't forget to buy Alexa that can listen and snoop. Have Samsung TVs that listen to you in terms of talk loud about where you stashed your gold and silver in front of the Proxy listening, eavesdropping kit that you've all bought. Or rather, be very sensible. Talking code, confuse it. It's algo listening. It can't work it out. Have you seen how shit Grok is? I ask simple questions. It can't work jack shit out. So be clever. Be clever. If you have to talk to the missus or somebody else about something special, maybe you should give it a special name. Maybe Gollum would be a good name for something that begins with G. Who knows? Maybe Lizard King is something that could be useful. It could keep the algo very confused. They're never going to know. Remember, be smart. They aim to crush you and what you stand for by stealing your wealth, inverting your culture, turning it into a welfare state, debasing your currency, causing costs of living, and they will be there to pimp out your wives and daughters. They will be there to sell opium, drugs, and depression pills. They will be there for the new environment, publishing, securing profit centers at your cost as the tide turns. And they will be transferring that gold from west to east as it moves with them. The caravan of robber barons from the Marco Polo run of Europe to China. They will be there. The same extractors, the descendants of the same extractors, the great drug sellers. And oh, by the way, on that point, we've got quite interestingly, the new Reform Party head in Britain, the guy funding the Reform Party, is somebody who sells drone technology. The biggest shareholder of a military industrial complex sells drone technology to Israel for terminating children and the clearing of territory, an ethnic cleanse of murder. That's right. So if you think Farage in the UK or Tommy Robinson is not Zio Kings, they are the same friends of Israel that Boris Johnson was, and you are voting for a new proxy. You are voting for entrapment via a new proxy of the same cartel. Voting will never change anything, my friends. If it did, they wouldn't allow it. That's how it works. Okay, so check out, we've retweeted that on the Market Sniper on X. Don't forget to follow at the Market Sniper on X and at the Crypto Sniper on X and at the Reset Sniper on X. We will be doing our newsletter on the Cayman Islands and more, and the Bitcoin influencer surge. You can be registered for that by watching the mini series. The link is in the YouTube comments below. You can hit the like and share with your friends. Help us grow. We appreciate it. If we've saved you money by not allowing you to sell on a non-advisory basis, asserting that it's bullish when they weaponize the algorithm to say gold is a top, they are in deep panic mode. It is exceedingly bullish, and you pervert it. I call it the Tony Blair indicator. You do exactly the opposite of what the propagandists are truly wanting you to do, and you storm on and relentlessly. You get your checkbook out and you start writing more fiat, useless monkey money. You throw it at them for the real permanent asset preserving wealth of gold, silver, platinum, and you say keep on keeping on. You recognize that we are at the early stages of this precious metals bull market. You haven't even flipped and reversed the gold silver ratio yet. We aren't even fully acknowledging the full debt Ponzi-onomics. When the inflation comes out deep in the double digits, even with their fudge factor and their lies, that's when you will know it's starting to be revealed. Fiat and debt debasement is the core central trend right now. The epoch started, and the only way the anti-fiat and debt debasement, which is specifically anti-dollar, the dollar isn't the winner in all of this. Don't get sucked up in the confusion that milkshakers and GG wants to bring with the shortage of treasury analogies. There's a surplus of unwanted treasuries that are being bought by proxy slave nations that are tied to the mast and will sink with the ship, America, and the hegemon, and take the currency and the debt down, down, down with it. And until the market cap of those same debt proxies and debt markets are way, way down, losing quadrillions down into trillions and less than a few hundred billion, you have not had a reset of the debt system. Until they have been so chronically devalued that every bond fund is virtually broke, you've had umpteen banking crises, and they've brought on a war or some other hidden geopolitical major event to mask the fact that it's all over. Until that has happened, the only trade is stay long precious metals and metals miners, only if you have certificates, and still, even with certificates, overweight to that which you hold, because possession, my friends, is 9/10 of the law. I also get told all sorts of crazy narratives from Bitcoiners about how Bitcoin is safer than gold. Gold can be confiscated. Let's deal with gold can be confiscated, that other great lie. I will go back to share screens. Let me just locate this particular tweet. They've said gold can be, by the way, oh yes, let's have a look at this. Citadel, and I'm not sharing screen just yet. I know that even Citadel CEO states gold is a substitutional position for a loss of trust in the dollar debt system. Ken Griffin, we are seeing, this is his actual words, we are seeing substantial asset inflation, and that's not the asset that's really inflating, it's the currency that is debasing. Let's share screen and show that to you. Some important highlights here, maybe worth seeing and reading with your own eyes. Ken Griffin, Citadel, these are the interesting characters of their own. Let's just see. Hold on. Where did that go? Come back, Ken. Here he is. Don't bother listening to it. We are seeing substantial. Over here is the read. Ken Griffin, we are seeing substantial asset inflation as people are looking for ways to de-dollarize their portfolio. That's actually the debasement of the fiat and the debt that sees the asset appear like it's inflating. In gold ounces, it isn't. Not the NASDAQ, not NVIDIA, not any of them in gold ounces anymore in the last period. They are no longer going up. There is no melt up in equities. Other things are going up, yes, in normal, what I call the normie nominal terms, yes. In gold ounces, no. Gold is the trade. In the dot-com run of 1993 right the way into 1999, there was nothing better to hold than tech stocks. It destroyed everything. That was peak financialization of everything, etc. Nothing is outperforming now meaningfully in gold ounces. This is your new measure for wealth. So those things that are inflating are going up in decreasing dollar terms, but actually down in gold ounces. We've shown this many, many times before. So that is Citadel. That is actually even admitting and calling the whole thing out. Oh, by the way, this is the average. That's it's worth going through the X feed, by the way, picking out some of the key moments. Give Oliver a follow on X, on Mine Energy Biz as well. Is it time to reconsider gold exposure? So here's the gold exposure. Hedge funds, 3%. Family office, 2.2%. The average 1.9%. Insurance and endowments less than 1.7 or 1.5. Pension funds stuffed with treasuries 1.3. So tell me when they're at 20, I'll start buying land and other things. Until then, you know what you have to do, and that's nothing. Get out of the way of compounding and let it happen. Get out of the way of compounding and let it happen. Institutions have not yet even truly begun on the debt debasement trade. They have not begun on the debt debasement trade in any way. Let's continue to have a look. There was something I was looking to find that I wanted to repost to you. There's the hanged Britons that were crucified and slaughtered that nobody seems to remember. 82 British soldiers. Oh, yes, yes. Don't mention which nation did it. We want to have a look. We want to have a look. We want to have a look. There's our Cayman Islands that we're already discussing. Wow, what a relief. What a great, great expose of utter proxy corruption for maintaining the Ponzi scheme. This, by the way, is the chart. Restated. There's your, hey, this is how we thought the Cayman Islands were in terms of holding our stuff. There you go. There's good old Caymans right here. There's the Cayman Islands. Oh, hang on a minute. We need to restate. Oh, is it an incremental change? No, it looks something like that. Oh my goodness. Shooting up to the top of the pops. A tiny speck of land in the Caribbean with a couple of golf courses and mansions for ex-Goldman Sachs dudes. Wow, wow, wow. And of course, it's just amazing. It's just amazing. The other thing, what is it I was looking to show you? I've even forgotten, but it was just so much fun. There's Bitcoin making ever lower highs. Now that it's reached 2 trillion and it takes some meaningful money, you're having a problem making new highs. We called it the bent banana. Then others started to steal our phraseology and we stopped using it. But it sure ain't making the same highs that it used to. Oh dear. And it ain't no good for transactions and pace. It ain't no good for privacy. It ain't no good for that much in actual fact. There's the inverse indicator of Tony Blair. Let's not forget NFTs, guys. Now, they're going to throw so many Ponzi scams at you that are going to be all hype and mayhem. The new world of NFTs. If you haven't bought NFTs, you're behind the curve. Here's the NFT. Let's show you more. 4 years ago, someone bought that NFT for 69 million. That someone is probably a chosen one that paid his left hand from his right hand to try the vibe that Digital art is a thing. Well, the only thing that's going to come with NFT is that your biometrics will probably be captured on an NFT. Your assets will be captured on NFTs. And whenever you want to sell something, it'll have a price and a value as a derivative proxy over what you own so that they can take everything off you. They're not happy that they want to have ultimate power. They want to own everything, and you must lose and be a known slave owning nothing. It has been and always will be. That 69 million is now worth 10K. It's not even worth, shock news alert, it's not even worth 10K. It's not worth $1. I wouldn't pay $1 for it, my friends. I wouldn't pay $1 for a piece of rubbish that is a digital PDF document. No, this was the memes. I just sold all my gold to buy more Bitcoin. The audience, I love that one. There we go. Warnings that Britain is becoming antiseptic. This is your new, by the way, it's a little bit of social political. Grok, what are your thoughts on Netanyahu? This is elongated muskiness, who is a friend, according to Netanyahu. Netanyahu has been the longest serving prime minister. You think this has got nothing to do with gold? It has everything to do with Bitcoin and gold and who runs your land. And he has predicted that America will be reduced to a welfare state. Do you really want to try and make it in a welfare state if you're running a business or anything else? That is what he said. I've seen him say it in as many words, in Israeli and reliably translated. His policies prioritize security amid existential risk. People wish to eliminate him, and he's had to prioritize security they've drawn criticism for judicial overreach as an AI focused on truth over ideology. I see him as a pragmatic leader in a tough neighborhood. Flaws notwithstanding, history will judge based on results, not headline. Wow, that's Elon. You thought Elon was your pal? No. You thought Elon was saying fight or die? No. Elon ain't your friend. Elon's never been your friend. He's run and owned. The Algo tells you. My good friends, exactly what has been going down. So I don't know what I'm looking for anymore because I've already forgotten what it was that I was having a look for. Oh, by the way, for those of you, when you arrive in localized South African airports, you get all of this. This marketing is absolutely extreme. It's called Hollywood Bets. That's right. Everywhere in Cape Town, Durban, there is no other space for other advertising. They absolutely dominate. They have it everywhere. Hollywood Bets. I mean, these are these guys in the purple. Of course, it's African. So you get an African influencer showing Africans buying happily, betting their way to prosperity, you wonder, on their mobile devices with cool watches. This is what the cool kids do. Who encourages the gambling and the casino world? Who actually built Vegas, for that matter? Well, here you have the guy, Durban-born. You have him, Martin Moshal, the second largest private political party donor in South Africa after the Oppenheimer family. Those that actually, even though Japan had agreed to an unconditional surrender, went and bombed two civilian non-military cities to test the atom bomb and murder hundreds of thousands of civilians that were not involved with the war, that hadn't voted for the war, and that was the Oppenheimer family. Well, his father was a prominent member of the SA Jewish Board of Deputies, and his wife was from Jerusalem and Israel, and they are promoting gambling in South Africa. Porn, gambling, you name it all. That's where they are. And he's in New York. So we're getting lots of interesting topics, not too much to do with gold, you might say. Well, this guy says all gaps get filled. And you see, sometimes they just don't. There isn't an absolute about them. I don't think it will. Kaufman says, I bet this gap gets filled. It seems like an influencer that wanted gold to go down. I don't think so. Then there's Robin Brooks. This is kind of interesting. Robin Brooks of Goldman Sachs. Much of the chatter at this week's IMF WB meeting, which is all your proxy rulers, global new world order rulers, was about the crazy rise. It's totally crazy. The rise in gold is crazy. No, the debasement on the Ponzi you set up and your bank. In debasement, that means gold appears to be crazy with everything falling and collapsing around it. Yes, let's just get the framing right. Most people are coming away from these meetings with a perception that the US economy is better than they thought. Wow. Now, that's incredible. The US economy is better than they thought. Really? Okay. That may end the gold rally. The US economy being better than they thought is going to end the gold rally, says Goldman Sachs, Robin Brooks, at least for now. Well, Robin, I don't think so. This is propaganda. This isn't an analyst. This is propaganda. Daniel Lacal kindly set him straight. The gold rally has nothing to do with US growth and everything to do with all fiat debasement. Correct, 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 Daniel. Obviously, the IMF refuses to acknowledge that statism has destroyed confidence in fiat currencies of highly developed nations. 100% loss of trust in the fiat debasement Ponzi-onomics of the central cartel of bankers, for which Robin Brooks happens to be a worker thereof and there too, who is misinforming you and telling you in a funny roundabout way, gold tops here, the US economy is, brilliant, bro, it's brilliant. Yep, there you go. So we've had a little bit of fun here on the live stream. I hope you've enjoyed. Of course, truly the market sniper. The liars are going to lie, and you know who they are, and they show up and they lie. They're quite consistent. The Tony Blairs of the world will lie and lie and lie, to invert their perversions. And here you are, gold, major collapse and crisis. But we're back within 0.67% in a snap of an eyelid after a Friday slammy. Good old east of the planet appears to have an unrelenting appetite for gold warrants and the purchase of gold and silver. That's right, my friends. Until your shoeshine boy is telling you about gold, until your taxi driver is telling you about gold, until the gold-silver ratio is plummeting through 30 on the way to single digits, you have not yet even begun to put your running shoes on. This is early doors. Anything you can still secure in that space, you should. Unobtainium comes soon and suddenly for the Western world, and then you will watch the whites of their eyes, the blood drain from their face, the London Bullion Metals Exchange, the likes of COMEX and all of them. When the rooms are empty, the promises are large, the hypothecation fully exposed, the deception, the deceit of the Cayman Island hedge funds maintaining Ponzi-onomics for debt parabolas that are being issued at ridiculous decrees, all the other proxies as part of the cartel of collapse will bring about the single biggest Western-based crash that you have ever seen. And that will bring about poverty and great hardship on many people that have not seen this coming. And it is a polarizing event, as we said in 2017 in Greenwich Hill. It is an absolute polarizing event. There will be those that saw what was coming and overweighted and positioned, and there will be those that were decimated. The avalanche is crushing the village. The snowball is halfway down the hill. There is no stopping that eventuality. The debt and fiat-based collapse will collapse, and the primary asset for preservation of value and balance sheet is precious metals. Until you have had a full frontal news, front page news, not in the financial segments, in the very main part of the newspaper about major depression and destruction and bankruptcy. You have not even started to see the fullness of this event. It is going to be exceedingly polarizing, and they will weaponize the masses against you for protecting your soundness of money, your balance sheet in the way. They will weaponize against you to bring in capital extraction taxes, confiscation, and all other forms. They will channel the rage through their media machine at you who saw this coming rather than them that made it happen. That is how they work. That is the truth. You will watch it. The unvaccinated never did enough to warn us. Do you remember that headline? With 2 strikes against this here channel, I got told I didn't do enough to warn and prevent people from being absolutely destroyed after the echo chambers shut all our voices down, slammed us with bans, and continued to sell poison to your fellow citizens. They direct the subsequent rage to those that tried to save you. That is the model that you will have coming for you. If you do not have multiple jurisdictions, multiple geographies, and you are not out of the West, you will be crushed by this cartel and their agenda. Please recognize and see this and understand you have certain amount of time till unobtainium. The link is in the details below. Book a call. Reset is real. You don't only need to build that wealth, you need to keep building it because it's losing value in debased dollars. You need to keep accumulating gold and silver ounces. You need to protect them by jurisdictional arbitrage across multiple geographies. You need to escape to secure your freedoms. The once great nations are now the soon-to-be tardy welfare state nations of great poverty and loss of buying power. The nations you look down on or thought were third world and developing are the new superpowers of the next generation. Do not skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck is going. That way you get there first. You get there quicker, you look smarter, you retain your wealth. Till next time, thank you for checking in with us, to the 1,245 of you. Thank you for the 534 likes. Don't forget to hit the link. We look forward to taking you forward in building wealth, in unique opportunities that are being presented right here, right now, in this crazy, crazy economic time that is going to be exceedingly polarizing by eventual outcome. I want you as one of the wealthiest out there that can buy privileges, that can secure existence, that will still be traveling despite the carbon tax costs, despite everything. I want you protected from the extractionary capital gains taxes. I want you in the best state for seeing this through. I am Messianic. I've predicted everything that is happening right now. It keeps coming exactly like I expected it to come, and you are going to experience it firsthand. Better to be prepared and take action. Till next time, I catch you later. Thank you, and I say goodbye.